the name of the values that keep you alive. Do not let your vision of man be distorted by the ugly, the cowardly, the mindless, and those who have never achieved his title. Do not lose your knowledge that man's proper estate is an upright posture, an intransigent mind, and a step that travels on limited roads. Do not let your fire go out. Spark might replace the spark, and the hopeless swamps of the approximate, the not quite, the not yet, the not at all. The world you desired can be won. It exists. It is real. It is possible. It's yours.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Crypto Economy podcast. Today I'm here with Morgan Steckler. He's the CEO of iTrustCapital. So thanks so much for being here today, Morgan.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So today we're going to be talking a little bit about how crypto can be integrated into your retirement accounts and other parts of your financial portfolio that you might not typically think of when you first think of cryptocurrencies. So how did you initially get interested in this space of all of them? Assuming we have equities, we have all these attractive parts that people like to typically get drawn to.
Of course.
But retirement typically isn't one of them.
Yeah, of course. I've actually been in the U.S. retirement account space for close to 17 years. In 2012, I was actually working with Robert Kiyosaki in one of his Rich Dad advisory groups, running his sales force, and I had at that time probably over 10,000 clients in 96 countries. As I was working with them, I got to know many of them, and a number of them were actually miners. I had no idea what a miner was about crypto. This was in 2012. And I started to learn about Bitcoin. And as someone who's been in finance, Forex, and precious metals, for most of my life, technically since age 6, I got curious about this form of money because it met all the same criteria as money, as it was transferable, transportable, fungible, exchangeable, and has a store of value. After I really got into it, I left that company and joined another firm. And there, I got so intrigued that I founded and put the legal framework together to launch the very first company in the space that was compliantly allowed to put Bitcoin into an IRA. That company was called Bitcoin IRA. I left after about a year and a half and started the second company in the space, perfecting the model, Coin IRA. There, again, about a year and a half, and I left to pursue and start iTrustCapital, which was perfecting what I always want to do, creating a 24/7 platform that allows people to trade alternative digital assets within your IRA.
So before you got to the alternative digital assets, you started with precious metals and other alternative assets. So what did you notice in that industry that you think might be juxtaposed with how the crypto industry is today? Because you hear a lot about people investing in gold and silver, and they run ads on Fox News all the time. But I've never actually talked to anyone who's really been a part of that. So what was your experience in that industry?
Well, the experience, was kind of a little bit, had its ups and downs. Unfortunately, in that industry, an industry that does about $500 million to $1 billion a year, there are a bunch of firms out there, and we are going to be releasing some PR on the pitfalls of precious metals, because on our platform we will be launching a digital gold asset as well, because we want to attack all alternative assets. A lot of those companies, try to help people with commission sales reps into putting collectible coins inside of their IRAs. These coins typically have a very high margin and a very low buyback, so it is a very dangerous arena if you don't know what you're doing. My mission has always been to help, and seeing, in my experience, there is a major correlation, in my opinion, between gold and precious metals and crypto. They both are havens away from fiat currency, and as the stock market, which we could see a recession coming in the next 6 months or so, especially before the Dems announce who they're going to have run, you're going to probably see a recession and a lot more people moving into alternatives, which will namely be crypto and gold. I think that they will run very similar in their charting.
Yeah, and it's been a long time coming. So do you feel that a lot of the people interested in this stuff are people who are very wary of economic recessions and boom and bust cycles, and they're thinking about this stuff? How do they typically get interested?
They definitely are interested. It's a matter of educating people on a retirement account in general. A lot of millennials, 20s and 30s, maybe even 40s, aren't thinking of retirement. We want to try and teach financial wellness and having people understand the benefits of why the richest of the rich utilize the gift that has been given to us within the United States of what a retirement account is. The potential, depending on your economic standing, the ability to even put in post-tax money where any profit that stems from it is completely tax-free. So it is a huge interest, and it's just being able to give a product and help with the response to the pent-up demand. A lot of people are doing this on the cash side, but they need to really learn about the benefits and why utilizing a portion of a retirement account or even starting a retirement account is very beneficial, for them, to really make a gain, yet alone avoiding the taxation events that occur on cash sides.
So what are the ways that they're typically structured now? Because I do a lot of financial planning with my mom, and we go in there, and they don't even touch on any alternative assets like gold for your retirement account. They really hedge everything on equities for the most part. So how do most of these accounts, how do the baskets get chosen, and two, sort of what are people thinking about when they're doing it, and what are they missing?
That's a good question. Usually these older firms, very established, very well respected, in some of the cases trillions and trillions of dollars, like Morgan Stanley, Raymond James, Fidelity. These companies, their FAs, that work for them are always gearing them towards the funds that are managed by those companies. So they really try to devoid you of any risk in alternative assets and put a client into funds, things that are related to, overall the stock market or the S&P, NASDAQ, etc.
And they often get kickbacks for pointing you in the right direction.
Well, yeah, that's always the case with the commission. I mean, in many cases, the unspoken part is you do have a lot of fees that take place, and they are incentivized, those FAs, to put people into products, funds or holdings that are run or hedged by those particular institutions.
Do you think that's something that's going to be sort of a thing of the past as the new generation starts to take more of an active managerial role in their retirement?
I really do. I think it's a matter of just continuing to take off the blinders and become a beacon of light of this education. I read an article even last night on millennials. 93% of them in this article, have no faith in the stock market and would want and are dying, thus the pent up demand for putting a savings into alternative assets, namely arenas such as crypto. They do want it. They want to get out of this fear, these things that are controlled out of their ability to maintain it. So they don't have faith in what is happening, so they want to and are looking for solutions where they have more control, and that's what precious metals and what crypto is about. It's more a blockchain, of course, but it is where you are outside of the normal banking system. You're outside of the United States controls, if you will, of that ever promise between the Fed and the government.
Yeah, no, exactly. And so the interesting thing is, I never really thought about being able to actively manage a retirement portfolio, but I mean, your platform allows you to do that fairly easily. So what are sort of the restrictions on that sort of thing, and what are the benefits? I know there are huge tax benefits to people trading crypto. So how does that work exactly?
So what we have done is, we are building this 24/7 trading platform for alternative assets. This includes, products like a cryptocurrency, like gold, like real estate, to name a few, and our platform solves a number of problems for the niche of alternative assets in the retirement account space. A lot of these problems revolve around the difficulty of setup. It takes, if you know what you're doing, you can take a couple of months, but you can set up a checkbook, control IRA, have to roll over funds, know how to do this. You have to know and avoid the high costs that have been historically associated with them. Even as important, the liquidity problems that occur, especially in the precious metals arena, and legality issues. If one sets up a checkbook control IRA, for instance, and does want to put crypto in there, that means they potentially are holding it themselves in an exchange or in their own hard wallet. And according to most legal out there, they would assume and consider that a potential distribution and a taxation offense. It's not held compliantly in and within an IRA custodian. So what we are trying to do is put together and allow for the puzzle pieces that we have decades of experience to be complete on the back end, where we are creating a new system that is a easy 3-step process on the front end, where people can either create an IRA and open one up, or roll over a portion. Once on the platform, they can trade themselves. This is something that, a lot of these things have been around for decades, but they're archaic, and we're modernizing and streamlining that process to allow people to really take control, in a quick, simple matter, so it doesn't take over, one's day in and day out life, to which most people won't have the patience to want to do that.
Yeah. That's interesting you mentioned real estate, because our last guest actually did fractional real estate equities, so he was allowing people to sell off fractional interest in their homes and create a tradable commodity.
I definitely will want to have that person's contact. I'd love to have a conversation, because that is something, what we are starting with on our platform is cryptocurrency. Our launch is going to be within the next 30 to 45 days, where we're going to start onboarding clients. Right after that, we are launching a digitized gold product that is actually held physically without any storage costs in a vault in the Royal Canadian vaults, if you will. And after that, awesome. And if someone wants to take a distribution, they'll have some fees, shipping, etc. They could do that. That's easy for their RMDs, or required mandatory distributions, that occur after age 70 and a half. But Q3 and towards the end of the year, we are going to be looking for real estate, having digitized fractional ability, where if someone does have that in their IRA, they don't have to go through the hassle and the craziness of having to sell an entire building or house in order to cash, where they can just have a fractional amount and they can come in and out. We want to provide and attack the entire, not say attack, we want to open and shed light on the alternative asset space in IRAs. And this is what I think people of our age and younger and a little older want to do. Our demographic is 20s, 30s, and 40s, ideally.
Yeah, so on the outset, what will those assets look like? You'll have some of the major cryptocurrencies, and then you'll start to add gold and real estate?
Real estate will be toward later on in this year, but yeah, we are going to be starting, and we're very diligent. What we're going to be starting with, obviously with cryptos, is we're going to be starting with a lot of the top market cap solutions. Think of the top 10, if you will, of coin market cap. Ones that have proven themselves are not going to disappear like many thousands of them that are out there, because anyone, including you and I, we can create our own coin. It's just a matter of what the exchange and what the perceived value of is within communities.
Yep.
But a lot of them are going to disappear. We are very conservative in what we're going to put on there. I don't foresee more than a dozen or so on there, and we will have a gold product that all of this is going to be ideally at 1% trades. We have an onboarding fee, but everything is traded transparently 1%. We want people to make money. We want people to do this and gain. We're not here to take those profits. We're here to give a vehicle for them to do it. And most people, I'm sure like you and I, we trade all the time, but there are taxation events. There are fears of, what if you leave your crypto on an exchange, or if your wallet is stolen, or if you lose your keys, or if you have a SIM port hack. All of these things that are fears that have prevented a lot of new people from coming in, but also stopped a lot of people from wanting to go further because of those fears. Where we have compliantly put together all of the pieces so people don't have to worry about that.
So to mitigate that, I guess you have the tokens. Where are the tokens stored? You guys have them stored on like a...
They are stored. We have an institutional partnership with one of the top wallet providers in the world. When people come to our site, iTrustCapital.com, people can sign up and go onto our waiting list, because we closed our beta as we launch our new platform. And as one signs up, you will start hearing the news that we're going to be releasing very soon of said partnerships in both precious metals and crypto with our bank, our IRA custodian, as well as our wallet that is an institutional grade. The security we've put in place, everything, I would say can be, nothing is foolproof, but the way in which we have our API set up, these transactions can only occur under the domain of the IRA custodian and can only go in dual directions from the fiat account held in the IRA to a particular wallet address, and from wallet address back into the fiat account under the IRA domain. So they can only go one way or back the other way. So it just goes from A to B and B to A. So if anyone should even be able to hack that, the only thing they can do is convert that said crypto into a fiat position. It cannot leave the directional interfaces that have been set. That's why we've spent a year putting together all of this.
Yeah. So on the exchange side, is the exchange fully integrated on your side, or are you using a third-party exchange? How does that work?
We have a partnership with a third-party exchange. It is a very well-known exchange. Again, that will be a PR release that we will be releasing to the public because we are not hiding behind any curtains. We want everyone who, especially people in this industry, they will know all of the names that we have partnered with. And it is a very exciting time, so people can have that trust, and people will see everything right there, and we're very excited for the massive adoption of our platform. We're building it so we can handle 100,000 transactions a day. We want people to. We're not telling them what to trade. We want people to be able to do whatever they want, as easy as clicking into the desktop. Soon we will have a mobile version after release, and that we want them to have the convenience. Think of it as Coinbase, that front end where it's as simple, easy, anyone can do it.
So they're really interacting with your front end and with another exchange on the back end?
The back end, all of those complex pieces we have put together, and on the front end, all they see is a nice, easy interface.
Yeah, it always looks so much easier on the front end. That's how you've done it well.
And all of it is, we are just the ones putting the pieces together. All this is done in and through our IRA custodian partnership, and that is the key. So you're not crossing any form of compliance. We've put a lot of money, if you will, of what we've done into legal and into compliance. So those are two of our biggest things that we stand behind. It's a proper foundation so people can have a comfort and know that we're not doing anything to jeopardize one's nest egg. We want people to build and trade and do what they're doing and do it the right way, and in our opinion this is that right way.
And I guess in your case it's a little different from a lot of these platforms because you're thinking of things on, I guess, a 25 to maybe 50-year time frame. Is that accurate?
I mean 25 to 50-year time frame. We can have people who, we want people to put these away so they don't have to worry about their RMDs, but they're free to do whatever they want, they being John and Jane Doe. We want people to be able to trade anytime. If they see that they had a profit, they can go in on a Saturday afternoon and they can sell it back into a fiat, or they can move it into gold if they don't want to keep it in a fiat because they don't believe in that dollar. If they want to roll, said profits out of the IRA that they have through iTrust, they can move it right into a Fidelity or into a Morgan Stanley or Fisher, whatever they would want. It's your funds. It would just be moved compliantly through the IRA ecosystem into another IRA. So we want people to have the freedom to do this. Obviously, historically in IRAs, people become very complacent. Not that we want them to, but if you want to just buy and hold, one's welcome to do that. If one wants to trade, you're welcome to do that. We just want to give people the solution.
So what about things like forks and airdrops with some of these tokens? People will essentially be getting free tokens if they're holding on to certain tokens for a long time frame. Will you be integrating some of those features for people who just want to sit on things and see what happens?
Yeah, so all the forkings that occur with Bitcoin, here VIOS is going to fork, things like that. So if there ever is a fork, think of it as if you're holding a stock in your IRA and there's a reverse split or a split, or all of a sudden they acquire another company and you have shares of that company as well. Same kind of things. It's the same compliance that occurs. So that would just any kind of new it would consider it like a new stock position. It would be within your IRA. So same kind of rules apply.
So this is a question I'm just sort of curious about. How do people around the world invest for retirement differently than they do in the United States? Is there any opportunity for a more global perspective on it?
I mean, our platform is something that we can white label to a lot of the big financial institutions. That's something that we are looking at, especially after launch, because it is something that we proprietary put together. But there are different forms of retirements in different countries. You know, TSPs in Canada, China has certain ones. It is something that can be replicated. You know, our goal is to launch within the United States. The United States is a $27 trillion retirement account arena. If you break that down,
That might be big enough for you for a little bit.
And if you break that down, there's $9 trillion held within IRAs and older 401ks, touchable money, because a lot of those funds are held in currently contributing 401ks and annuities, things like that you can't really touch without penalty. But based upon our research, if you actually break it down, for us, what we really want to attack is the communities who already are in crypto, because what we have discovered that there is currently close to $1 trillion sitting in touchable IRAs and 401ks held by people who are already investing in crypto on the cash side. So there's already a huge amount of funds that are sitting there that people are already not utilizing, but doing the same thing on the cash side. And if they just touch a portion of what they already have, or they don't even realize that maybe they left a job 5 years ago and they have like this old 401k, they don't have to use the cash that they need to pay their rent or fix their AC or go on a trip or do whatever they want. They can use their IRA funds, and they don't have to worry about what I said before, the hacking or SIM ports or keeping it on an exchange, or more importantly, the taxation events. That's the benefits of this. You're avoiding all of that, because you might not worry about today or tomorrow, but Uncle Sam, whether you're up or down, will want their piece. And depending on where you are, no matter what it is, if you're trading, you buy on Coinbase to move to Binance, your Bitcoin to buy, some altcoin, say Tron, for instance. That's 3 taxation events, because
And
you did
just
a buy
tracking
sell.
that is nightmarish.
And and you know what? Even if you lost a lot of it, when you assume, say the days of the 20,000, you're going to have to pay taxes on that. And what you've done also is created a short-term capital gain taxable event. And in some cases, if you did make profit, that changes your tax bracket. And in places like where I am in California, that could be close to 50%. So all of your profits are gonna go away. So you do this in your IRA. This is an ultimate protection.
So with some of the other companies you've worked with that have been similar, I know I saw you've worked with some other coin IRA projects. What was different about those?
Those were, I opened the door, and it was great to launch the ability to do these. The fundamental issue was it was based upon a little more of an archaic, if you will, gold model, because the parent companies, my partners, ran gold firms, and we had major sales teams, commission reps, human element, if you will, that when someone was on the phone, they try to have someone roll as much as they can over, and there were huge fees.
Yeah.
So these fees can be a minimum of 15% off the top, so maybe even more. I saw 20 and plus. So if someone rolls over 100,000, that could be 15 or 20,000 taken off the top for one trade. And if you sell back, that's a 5% trade, and then a 5% trade back in if you're doing a secondary, tertiary. All of your it was not designed for emotional trading, for going in and out at your convenience. So that was not, however, how I ever wanted it and envisioned what I want to open the doors to properly within the retirement account space. So our model is we have a small onboarding fee. After that, 1% trades. That's it. You can do it whatever you want, and we are a volume based. We want to help people, let them make money, and we want the ease of use and the convenience factor, these problems that we have solved for people to benefit.
Well, that sounds pretty reasonable to me. So what are some other companies? Are there any other companies within the industry that you guys are working closely with, besides, I guess, the ones that are providing wallets and exchanges? Are there partners that you're trying to find?
The,
What are the strategic moves that you're looking to make?
That's a good question. There are a lot of partners. A lot of what we want to put on our platform is education. So we are talking to a number of companies that can provide further education for people who are not as deep in crypto as, say, you and I. People who are just learning. We want to provide an educational piece where we're not giving financial advice. That's the last thing we want to do. We just want to, if we have a particular product on our platform, we want people to see charts. We want people to read, very well respected people's opinion, so they can just gather their information. And if they choose to do something, they can. If they don't have to. But we want to be a source of education. So a lot of the partners, that we, have talked with and are going to be working with are people who are, having the same mission in mind, just to educate and enlighten and spread the word, not only on what we're doing, but on why these projects are interesting projects. And, we believe in it, but understanding what's been happening this last year, even though it went down in terms of a price, the billions of dollars and the tens of thousands of patents that the Fortune 100 companies have put in, because last year I call it under the hood. A lot of things are being built under the hood, and every day you're hearing major things that are happening, whether it's Walmart or Tesla or Mercedes or Sam's Club, Starbucks, all these companies that are looking to allow people to utilize blockchain or payments, for your day in and day out life. It's the beginning, kind of like where we were with email. That's where we are, the mid 90s.
Do you think sort of if there is going to be a bear market, that's going to serve as the catalyst for a lot of this stuff to start poking its head out?
I mean, right now I feel like we have been in kind of a bear market since it came down. It's been hovering, within a few $100s of where it is. And I'm just talking in terms of crypto. Gold's been the same way for a number of years, but I do think that with a recession, I think coming in the stock market, you're going to see alternative assets have a lot more light being shined upon it. And I do think that, for us, I don't like seeing, a stagnation. We want to see people, make moves whenever they want, and if it goes up or down, let them do it themselves. But I personally do think that, I see a good run coming. And I mean, if one knows what they're doing, even in a down market, there's a lot of fiat that people can make if they have the proper education. Something that we want to help provide.
Yeah, no, I completely agree, and I think if we do come to a recession, we're going to see a lot of money leave the traditional markets and move more towards crypto, just because it's all.
Well, and it's a very interesting time. You said earlier that you're helping your mom with her retirement accounts. What you're going to see macroeconomically speaking in the next 3 to 5 years is the biggest transfer of wealth, that we've seen in the United States, and that's because a lot of the baby boomer generation is going to be passing on and passing along their retirement accounts. Those are retirement accounts that are passable because they're in the system and they're going to be inheritable to the future generations. So a lot of what we want to do is educate, especially the younger generations, because it's for them, but it's also for them to guide their parents and help people, ask questions and learn and find the solutions. So it could benefit everyone, including you. Your parents are doing it for you, same kind of thing.
And so, if I am someone who hasn't even started setting up a retirement account, what are like the first steps of someone who really doesn't have experience with this to start doing so? So if
that's very easy. That's a great question. It's very easy. We do expect a lot of people who don't have retirement accounts. All you have to do is sign up with iTrustCapital when you want to do that. We have IRA processors that are always available that we can help with the formation of an IRA. Very easy. You're in that time frame. Actually, you can put 2018 and 19 in at the same time. One is able to put around $5,500 in a year. So, if one wants to just start one this year, it's very easy. And the earlier you start, the greater the benefit.
Yes, I mean, it would be pretty hard to say that if you were looking to invest $5,500 in crypto, it wouldn't make a lot more sense to do it through iTrust than just to throw it on Robinhood or something.
I mean, Robinhood does a lot of things on the cash side. So, and they have a great model. I mean, they've spent hundreds of millions of dollars, and they have millions of people who are on their platform. we do look at how they've done their model. We want to provide education. We would love to have 500,000 clients on our platform, but we want people to do it without having to worry, and that's what we're trying to do.
Robinhood's also selling all that data on the
Yeah.
buy side to the financial firms. So
Yeah.
if you want to be, they're not the best model. They're free for a reason.
Yeah, we're not one to. Data is very important. We're not here to get data. We're here to help people with retirement accounts. So, that's not anything we've been looking at.
Yeah. So are there any other crypto companies that you've sort of mingled with that you sort of know of that you are really excited about that aren't related to this?
Yeah, there's a number of them. I love what Fred Krueger is doing with EOS Links. I think he's on the forefront. Obviously, in Los Angeles, it's a very EOS-centric environment.
Yeah,
it is. I do really like what Travis Kling and Tim Lewis are doing with EKI and the funds. I'd love to see funds on our platform if we can compliantly do that. That's something that we're looking at. For people who don't know what they want to get, if they just want to get Bitcoin or Ethereum, but if one wants a passively managed fund, I'd love to be able to put something like that on our platform. Those are two projects off the top of my head that I'm friends with them, and I do believe in what they're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. The funds are an exciting idea, and I always had the idea of being able to copy trade. I always thought that would be a great way to sort of hurdle the educational barrier if you just find someone who actually does know what they're doing and you trust them. I love that with the Forex markets. You could you could hop on and someone, someday could serve as their own hedge fund with just, that 2 and 10 fee, whatever it is, and you can totally decentralize the management portion, which I thought was exciting too.
Yeah, exactly.
So there are, I guess, a lot of innovative ways to take this in new directions, and I'm really excited about the gold piece too, because I think it's too bad that the crypto folks tend to stay isolated from some of the physical pieces that have been around forever, because they work better in concert together.
That's what we're trying to bring. And there are a lot of good gold products I think that are coming out, but we're doing it very different. We're partnering again. That will be released. People sign up onto our platform. Put their email in there on iTrustCapital.com. You're going to start hearing it. But we've partnered with a 40-year-old company who I've been very close with. That is one of the most respected names in the world, a very well-known name, and they physically audit and hold many thousands of ounces each month, and it's physically held in a depository that is safeguarded, and with the product that they have, for every one that you have, it is equated to 1 ounce of gold. So one does not have to worry about that. It's very simple, and if one wants to get into that without having to move into an ETF, which is a whole other conversation, which I'm not a fan of, or even like the GLD, or without having to go with these collectible coins. Word of advice: if you see someone on TV, run for the hills. If you call in someone and you're talking to a sales rep, run for the hills. We are gonna have a little expose on that I'd like to have on our site, where people will want to get into it the right way. And I think crypto and gold go very hand in hand. That's why you hear time and again they call Bitcoin digital gold. We're just utilizing digital asset, the digitization of blockchain, and being able to put these alternative assets within your IRA, easy, safe, and that's why we're very careful and selective of what we are starting with and what we will continue to put on the platform.
This is a bit of an aside, but do you have any thoughts on a lot of the central banks starting to buy up gold fairly aggressively? I know China is, Russia is.
They've been doing that for a while. You can see a lot of the countries, South America, there's a lot. I mean, it goes back to the ETF, but yeah, there's, when you look at currency, since Bretton Woods, which officially left the gold, the gold-backed currency, and turned into fiat. A fiat currency is not backed by anything other than the promise that you believe in said government. In the history of man, no fiat currency has ever survived. So, one has to think, look at all of the debacles, whether it's Venezuela or the hyperinflation of the dinar, or the German marks, during world wars. It's very scary, and the one thing that the government can do, you have a $20 trillion debt that continues to grow. You have fractional reserve spending and bank spending that, they only hold a small percentage in their banks. But, one thing the government does is print more currency every month, 80 billion times over. 80 billion is added to our currency supply, and that doesn't even take into account credit cards and interest and what banks do on, on lending. But all that does is increases our supply of currency, which devalues said currency. So moving into an alternative asset where there is a finite amount, where there's a store of value, whether it is a Bitcoin or a form of crypto or gold, these are a finite amount. These are a haven against, all of these things that people should be aware of.
Not to mention we've gotten cocky and over leveraged because of OPEC and the dollar, so we're used to everyone relying on our currency to purchase, the most valuable asset that everyone needs.
Yeah.
Which, can change any day now. You see Venezuela trying to move to crypto. You see Libya tried to do it. Afghanistan tried to move to gold for oil. They didn't end up doing so hot.
Yeah. No, very, very well said.
But other than that, I don't think I have any more questions. Do you have anything you wanted to touch on?
No, I just want to thank you for this time, and very appreciated and always happy to come on. But spreading this message and understanding that there is a better way to do this. The better way is in a retirement account. We have a solution. It is simple. It is easy, and this is the best way for one to really move into alternative assets, whether it's crypto or gold. You have a chance to do this, and now is the time. Do it now. This is, the sooner you do it, the better you're going to be for later on in life. And I don't like paying taxes any more than I have to. For that alone, people should move it utilizing their IRA. I mean, that's one of the best benefits you can do. If whether you decide to pay or not, you're going to have to pay. So avoiding that and avoiding all these other scary things, the solution's in your IRA.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way to close it up. So thank you so much for coming on, and thank you guys for listening. We'll be back soon with another episode, and I encourage you guys to go check out iTrustCapital.com, and we'll post some of the links below, so check them out.